Hi, I'm Johnny from UltimatePaperMache.com, and for the last couple of weeks I've been doing a lot of experiments with some recipes that I found online for a reusable mold making material that's made out of glycerin and gelatin. Now you can see I'm using pretty big containers of this. You can use the little packets of gelatin that you find at the store, and you can use the little 6-ounce bottles of the glycerin that you find in the drug department. But if you want to make anything of any size, you're going to need a fairly large mold. So I wanted at least 2 quarts of the material. Each of these recipes that I'm going to show you in just a minute will make about 1 quart. And I thought I was going to have enough material in these 2 containers to make 3 recipes. But I'm a bit math challenged, so I didn't notice that the recipes that I saw, evidently they've just been copied and pasted all over the web, and nobody actually took time to do the math, and I just believed them. So in the rest of this video, you're going to hear me mention that you need either 2 6-ounce bottles, or 12 ounces of glycerin, or a cup and a half, because that's what all those recipes said. And it made sense, because on the American measuring cup, you see it marked off, and it comes to 8 ounces, so 1.5 cups would make 12. Makes sense. But this is actually sold by weight, not volume. A cup of glycerin weighs a little bit more than 10 ounces. What that meant was this is a 43-ounce bottle. I hope I'm not making your brain explode here with my math, but I should have had enough for 3 recipes plus a little bit left over, and I didn't. I did not end up with enough because I used about 15 ounces instead of 12 in each of my recipes. Now, one thing though that you should note is that it works. It doesn't seem to make any difference exactly how much glycerin you use. So I would suggest that if you're going to be using this recipe and you want to get the large bottle because you want to make enough for a bigger mold, then just use a cup and a quarter instead of a cup and a half. It won't be exactly 12 ounces, but it won't make any difference. It's really rubbery. It is a form of plastic, which is kind of cool, because this would be a really fun experiment to do in a grade school science class. Now, I don't think that this material would work with paper mache, because paper mache is wet, and this, even though it won't be in a liquid state when you're using it as a mold, but it's still got water in it, and I think that's going to keep your paper mache from getting dry. But it does work with plaster cloth, and it actually works really well, and that's what I'm going to show you in the next video. In this video, I'm going to show you the recipe and the easy way that I found to make this stuff. And in the next video, I'll show you how to actually use this material to make a mold, and then we'll actually use that mold to make a plaster cloth thing. I just used a scrap, so it's not really a mask or anything, but I just wanted to play around with it and make sure that it really does work. And it does. It's really cool. So let's get to it. I'm going to show you how this is made. What you're going to need to make this stuff with is a heat-proof bowl. This is a Pyrex bowl that I'm using. You're going to need a measuring cup, of course. You probably want a spoon and something to boil your water in. I've already put a cup and a half of water in there. I'm going to boil it, but I won't turn the stove on quite yet. You need 16 packages of Knox, and I don't have little packages, so I'm going to have to weigh mine. So now I'm going to add half a cup of cold water. Now I need my 1.5 cups of glycerin. So I'm just kind of moving around in there just a little bit, trying to get it to the point where the gelatin and the water will come into contact with each other. Now, the one thing I'm going to be doing differently than what I've seen anybody else do is I'm just going to let this soak for a little while. So I'll be right back in about 5 minutes. I went away for maybe 10 minutes, wasn't really paying attention, and you can see that the gelatin has absorbed almost all of the water and the glycerin. There's still a couple of kind of hard bumps, but we'll just get rid of those. I'm just going to turn the heat on now and start the water to boil. I now have some boiling water. I'm going to pour it in there slowly, they said. And the gelatin just kind of melts in there. Again, I'm trying really hard not to incorporate any bubbles. But I want all of it to melt together. Some of it's kind of stuck to the bottom. I'll let that sit for about 5 minutes. It's been just a few minutes. It's heated through as much as it's going to be, and everything has melted that's going to melt. I don't have foam on top. That's a really good thing. I'm going to pour it through this mesh because I want to get those hard lumps out. I did check, and it looks like this is a pretty normal process. I thought maybe I was the only one who got little lumpy things, but evidently not. And I didn't get very many. I like putting it in the jars just because it seems to melt a little bit faster in the jar than it does in the bowl, and it fits into the refrigerator a little easier. Now, there is one science fellow who says that he leaves his out on a counter. I don't think he even covers it, and it doesn't mold. It hasn't gone bad for weeks, so it doesn't really need to be refrigerated, but I think I will anyway. And just for fun, I'm going to put just a little bit in this cap and let it get cold so that you can see what it looks like when it's actually being used as a mold. I will make something with it real quick so that you can see that too, but just for the purpose of this video, I'm going to put this in the fridge real quick, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's stiffened up and cold. This has been in the fridge for about an hour, I guess. You can see it pulls out of this plastic really easy. May not pull out from other things as well as that, but this it did. And look at that, it's got a perfect match for the threads on the cap. It came out of there, even though if this had been solid like plaster, you never would have gotten it out because of those undercuts, but this popped out really easy. It's bendy and stretchy. I'm pretty sure I could tear it if I really worked at it, but why would I do that? So now, I have tried it with really, really thin layers, just laying a really thin layer on a piece of plastic to see how easily it would tear. That doesn't work very well. It really does need to be at least this thick. But this has got a lot of promise. So now in the next video, I'm going to show you how it actually works with plaster cloth. I have not yet gotten brave enough to try it with paper mache because you got water in this. You've got water in the paper mache. I have a suspicion that they would just kind of meld together over time because the paper mache takes so long to dry. But with plaster cloth, this should work just fine. So in the next video,